Like, are we gonna ever go back? I'm waiting. Are we gonna go back to the moon? We announced that the Artemis 3 mission, we're gonna go to the moon, we're gonna do all this great exploration again. But look, we're not gonna send humans to the moon anymore. Where are we gonna go? Let's see the words that they use. Where are we gonna go? Take a guess. So where are we gonna go? Ready? Hold on. Artemis 3 mission will no longer aim to land on the moon. Instead, under revised plans, it will launch again mid-2027. Okay, right. In a low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit designed to test essential technologies.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't. I'm sorry. That just hit me funny.
And I quote once again from Genesis. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. There you have it.
There we have what? What are you saying?
It's water. I'm saying water because it said water like 8 times, so it's water. That's what the whole thing is, water.
So you'll see these CIA documents that were approved for release in 2000, and you'll see that this is actually the Scientific Council of the Institute of Physics of the Earth in the USSR, and that they argued for these findings at the geophysical year. And it's about light scattering in the high atmosphere, so some properties of atmospheric indicatrices of light scattering by Pyaskovskaya. Fasenkiba, the Astrophysics Institute, the Academy of Sciences in Kazakhstan, the USSR. This is done in 1957, but it shows you that even at that time the Russians knew there was a firmament. Determining the coefficient of atmospheric transparency from sky brightness. And you'll see they use several methods to actually determine differences of light in the sky to identify the firmament. So again, by the same author, USSR Geophysics, published in '62, calculation of light dispersion of the higher orders. A proof is presented that the light dispersion of the higher orders can be computed from the data obtained in plain direct observations. The brightness of the sky considering all forms of light scattering. Various methods for determining the atmospheric transparency coefficient. And all of these documents as well reference the non-rotating flat Earth, or a flat non-rotating Earth. And I'll put links to them as well. Study of the dispersion of light in the Earth's atmosphere. Joint Council of Institute of Physics of the Earth, the Institute of Physics of the Atmosphere, and Institute of Applied Geophysics. The Academy of Sciences in the USSR. You can't get any higher up, scientifically. In the investigations, 2 instruments designed by V.G. Vasenkov were used. One of these was a visual photometer of the daytime sky, intended for measuring the brightness of the firmament. The other was a photoelectric halo photometer for determining the brightness from near-sun halo and also from the sun on a surface perpendicular to these rays. The dissertation contains a certain formula of the brightness of the sky, taking into consideration only the brightness of the first order, and derived on the assumption of a flat Earth, and giving some conclusions derived on the basis of this formula. For a certain coefficient of transparency of the atmosphere, the brightness of the sky at any point is represented by derivation of 2 functions, of which one is the function of the diffusion of light, and the other is a function of the zenith distances of the sun, and of the observed point of the sky. On changing of the zenith distances of the sun, z, from 90 to 0 degrees, the brightness of the sky on the almucanter of the sun increases first, reaching a maximum for a certain value of z, and then decreases. A method is also proposed of determining the brightness of the clear daylight sky at any point, based on measuring the brightness along the almucanter of the sun, and of 5 or 6 points of the firmament located at various zenith distances. I actually mentioned that they prove that there is a firmament, that they're measuring the light of the firmament, and they know the distance to the firmament. and also that this is done assuming and knowing that the Earth is flat and non-rotating. There you have it, folks. There is a firmament. The Earth does not go on forever. It is not an unending plane. There is a solid firmament in the sky, as was told to us in Holy Scripture by the Most High, by God.
Charlie Echo 3 from Norway 5, Norway Unicorn. This is Japan, Lima 8.
Wow.
Thank you for about 7 minutes. Good copy. You are also from 7. 57, good to know. Okay, that's Japan. Thank you for B60 Live. You should know my band. That's just 25 meter band. Thank you. 26.
It seems like I'm floating in front of the Earth, doesn't it? In reality, all of this is a set. We use giant green screens, harnesses that lift me up, and then the computer adds the planet. Look, this is how they film us. And I'm not even an astronaut, I'm an actor. And many of us are as well. So don't believe everything.
In this scene, upon the arrival of the third astronaut, we can observe how his right foot seemingly becomes entangled with one of the cables that supports him. Subsequently, we then see the same astronaut attempting to adjust the cable that is currently entangled around his foot using his right hand. He also reaches his hand behind him and tries to adjust his harness. Feeling quite uncomfortable, he adjusts his suit to rectify the mistake. His partner, seeing this, joins him in adjusting his own. After their greeting to Sirs was concluded, they appear quite uncomfortable and awkward about leaving, with one astronaut completely tangled up in his harness. His companions leave without even trying to offer him any help. Until the very last moment, the astronaut on the right struggles to untangle himself without being able to accomplish it.
Finland develops wireless electricity system where power moves freely through air without cables. But it's not a new idea. That's Nikola Tesla. And this is what they were writing about him in the newspaper 125 years ago or so. Power, light, and heat will be as free as air. Has discovered a way to harness free electric currents. Tesla will deliver us, but then they made him out to be crazy. And this comment says that people are saying it's unsafe for birds and unrealistic, but they forget that Tesla sat in his lab and held his free electricity in his hand, let it pass through his body, and they wrote about it in the newspaper too back then. Look at this. May 5th, 1893, an electrical wizard, Nikola Tesla, allows a charge of 200,000 volts to pass through his body. Mr. Tesla has also discovered a means of harnessing electricity so that it shall serve mankind without injuring him. To demonstrate this, he allows a current of 200,000 volts to pass through his body and illuminate a bulb containing sulfate of calcium, which he holds in his hand. The bulb glows with a light so intense as to fill the room with a brightness and to disclose the great electrician holding it aloft, unharmed and smiling. Then he assures the spectators that this is nothing. So I think the birds will be safe.
You won't believe this. So type flat earth backwards and then add .com to it on Google. Guess what comes up? NASA. The NASA website comes up if you type flat earth backwards and then .com. Guys, I'm not making this up. And then go to ChatGPT and say, generate me a biblically accurate image of the cosmology of our realm. And look what it shows, guys. A flat earth with the waters above and the waters below. And the sun and the moon in the firmament. Isn't that weird? And what's weird about the globe model is it orbits at 66,600 miles per hour, 666. The axial tilt is 23.4 degrees. So obviously the remaining would be 66.6 if you're talking about a 90-degree angle here. Arctic Circle latitude is 66.6 degrees north, which you can't explore. Antarctic Circle latitude is 66.6 degrees south, which you also can't explore. And then of course the Earth is curved at 0.666 feet per mile squared. Yeah, guys, Earth is flat.
This is another one for my Flat Earth family. Listen, right, I know I got a lot of hate on my last video, but I wanted to ask a question. So, if the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, that's what it says, it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. When you're flying an airplane goes like 160, 200, 300 k's an hour or something, I don't know. But it doesn't go 1,600 kilometers an hour, which is 1,060 miles or something like that. Wouldn't the world just be spinning and you would never get to your destination? Like, because you'd be up in the air, you'd be going slower than what the Earth is spinning. So if you wanted to go to Tokyo from Australia, you could just jump in a helicopter, hover for a second, and because the Earth is spinning so fast, why doesn't the helicopter end up in Tokyo? Like, it doesn't make sense. And I'm not a flat earther, but this is the one for the flat earthers. I like this little experiment. Let's find out.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or if you really are asking me this question. But if you're really asking me this question, you need to think about something. Back in the time when God created the earth, do you honestly think he used GPS coordinates like we use now? No, I'm sure he had his own system of measurement, and I'm going to point something out to you in the Bible when God finally puts Job in his place, because Job is a little cocky and he thinks he's more righteous than God. This is in Job chapter 38, starting with verse 4. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding, who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? Or where its base is sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone? Hello, cornerstone, another news flash. When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. And the sons of God, I believe he means the angels. So as you can see, God does not tell Job the GPS coordinates or what the measurements are. That's only for him because it's beyond our comprehension. There's no possible way that we can understand how God created the earth, let alone human beings. It's all mind-blowing. So I don't know what you want me to do with your question here, but that's the best I can do.
I find that the people who argue for a spherical earth with their supposed proofs are comparable to a little child providing proof for the existence of Santa Claus. And what's the proof that the child would provide? Well, the child might say, well, on Christmas morning, there's presents under the tree. That's what Santa does. Santa gives presents under the tree for little children. I talked to my friends and they had presents under their tree on Christmas morning. And we've seen Santa Claus in the mall. And we've seen Santa Claus in our schools. Now, I will say that is sort of evidence for the existence of Santa Claus. But the problem is, there is an alternative explanation for all that proof. Namely, the presents under the tree were put there from your parents. And that Santa Claus that visited you in school, that's actually Fred Schwartz, the local butcher, in disguise. But on the surface, to the child, it's proof, it's evidence. But they don't realize there's an alternative explanation. And it's the same thing with people that believe the earth is a sphere. They look at all these proofs, like the lunar eclipses. That's proof the earth is a sphere? I mean, the shadow is curved. What else could it be? There really is a Santa Claus. And I watched some of these videos where they debunk the FE. And they obviously don't have a good handle on the FE model. Like, one guy was thinking that it asserts the earth is like a pancake or a frying pan. And he's like, how could a frying pan create a curved shadow on the moon. It's not possible. And all the while they're assuming the heliocentric view. You obviously have not researched this issue much, but they speak with such confidence. There is no FE believer that I'm aware of that believes the Earth is like a pancake. It actually has a dome over it, and it's got an underbelly, as it were, which is like Hades has the foundations of the Earth, and the surface is generally flat. You know, it's got mountains, of course, and hills, but it's not a sphere. Having said all that, Santa doesn't exist. Please, stop believing in Santa Claus, if you know what I mean. Do lunar eclipses debunk the FE? No. First of all, there has been accounts in history of the sun being above the horizon when there's been lunar eclipses. That casts serious doubt on those eclipses being caused by the shadow of the Earth. And no, it's not refraction that is causing that phenomenon. What's causing the eclipses is likely another or other heavenly bodies that are opaque, that are causing what appears to be like a shadow on the moon. Here's some footage from this account here. This could be hard to see. I encourage you to look at the actual video, but you can see.
I'm gonna follow it. There it goes, right there. Bravo. Slow. K2 fast. Head slow, body fast. Here it comes. There it is.
See that?
There it is.
According to ancient Hindu lore, there was two heavenly bodies that would basically contribute to devouring the moon. And some believe that accounts for lunar eclipses. But there's also other astronomers that have believed this long ago, I think at the 1800s, so I may get into it in a future video. In regard to my last video, the North Pole would be located at the center of the Earth, since it's flat. And so if Jesus was taken there by the devil when he was going to be tempted, he would get a 360 view of all the nations of the Earth. And again, that wouldn't work on a Earth that was a globe. Only on an Earth that was flat could that happen. And being on top of an exceedingly high mountain, just as the passage says in Matthew 4.
The flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Idialenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.